those. Watching my parents offer up these brief, magical windows of enchantment for people. That's what the theater's always been for me. It's like an enchanted land. It's amazing. My folks never found their way there, that neither of them had any connection to show business. My mom's father was a beer salesman from Western Pennsylvania, and he'd often take a 5-year-old mom along with him on his sales runs, and she'd get out on the bar and sing and dance, and kids sold a lot of beer. My dad's dad, my grandfather, was an engineer on the Long Island Railroad, and he came from an engineer and an engineer before him, and Dad thought about doing that for about 2 minutes, I think. And then he thought about becoming a priest. Then he remembered that he was Jack Cassidy. Both of my parents were gifted with extraordinary singing voices, but Mom never thought she'd sing for a living. She loves animals, and she wanted to be a vet. But one weekend on a trip to New York with her folks, her dad heard that the casting director for the legendary Rodgers and Hammerstein was holding open auditions for a touring production of South Pacific, and he encouraged Mom to go. When 18-year-old Shirley Jones from Smithton, Pennsylvania, population 600, sang for this casting director, he immediately pulled her across the street to a much larger theater in a different audition. And Mom walks out onto the stage, and there's an entire symphony orchestra waiting for her. The theater is black. She can't see anything but a couple of silhouettes. 2 men turn out to be none other than Rodgers and Hammerstein. Right, the 2 guys who wrote South Pacific and Oklahoma and Carousel and The King and I and The Sound of Music, among others. And it turns out they're in the midst of this worldwide talent search for the lead in their motion picture version of Oklahoma. Do you know If I Loved You? The composer, Richard Rodgers, called out to my mom, and my mom's like, I know the melody, but I'm not sure about all the words. That's okay, the lyricist, Oscar Hammerstein, replied. I know the words. If I loved you, time and again I would try to say all I want you to know. If I loved you, words wouldn't come in an easy way. Round in circles I'd go, longing to hold you, but afraid I'm shy. I've let my golden chances pass me by. Soon you'd leave me, off you would go in the midst of day. Never, never to know I love you. If I loved you. And as soon as she finished shooting the motion picture version of Oklahoma, Rodgers and Hammerstein sent Mom over to Paris to do a stage production of the show, and they cast a young actor by the name of Jack Cassidy to star opposite. This is where my parents met and fell in love. A few weeks into the run, Dad took Mom to the Eiffel Tower and he proposed, which would be the end of a perfect story. Had he not already been married at the time. money get in the way of his dreams. To my dad, the whole world was a magic show. It was his magic show. Shadows and light. He's a guy, my father, like Cary Grant, who completely invented himself. He studied old movies and old movie stars because he wanted to sound more like John Barrymore than a kid from Queens. Consequently, he had an accent from no country that ever existed. He was a matinee idol at 18 years old. He roomed with no less than Bob Fosse. He starred in Stephen Sondheim's first workshop of a musical, and he won Tony Awards and Grammy Awards, and he was all shadows and light. He was incredibly kind and often cruel. Terrifying, captivating, mesmerizing, all at the same time. Always. Not a perfect father by any measure, but with more extraordinary characteristics than anyone I've ever known. Unfortunately, faithful was not one of them. When I was 16, and yes, sick of school, my parents separated. After almost 2 decades, my mom could no longer tolerate Dad's infidelities, and he spiraled. He begged for her to take him back. But after all that time, she just had enough. Last time I saw my dad, he came to the house, and I was the only one at home. He rings the doorbell, and I show up, and there he is standing on the doorstep, and he asked if my mom was there, and I said no, and then he asked if he could come in, which was crazy weird, because this is his house, but yeah, sure. And he follows me up to my room, the place he'd rarely been. He sits down on the couch under my Who poster, which is the same couch that had been his couch in his New York apartment, and the same couch that the Who's drummer, Keith Moon, had been passed out on a week or so earlier, but that's another story. And he asked me what I'm up to. And I told my dad that I'd just gone on this audition for this new television show called The Hardy Boys. And I thought I might have a chance of getting a part. And he congratulated me and asked if I'd be moving out. And I said, yeah, I think I probably will if the show happens. And then he asked me if he could rent my room. He was kidding, of course, but he wasn't kidding. When I later talked to my mom about this meeting, she tried to make me understand what was going on between them, but she didn't have to. I mean, all the, kids know everything. They see all the problems, even while they long for some magic to fix them. That night I went to the piano and I wrote this song. And some of you may remember it as an ode to teenage heartbreak. But as it turns out, I wasn't writing about any teenagers. Do you remember when life was simple and plain to see? Easy to pretend, then to close the door and turn the key, leaving Leave me